Look closely at your hands. Note the dexterity, the opposable thumb, the sheer capacity for creation. Now, trace that capacity back, not centuries, but 7 million years. We stand on the precipice of a story so vast it redefines history itself. This is the ultimate origin story, a journey from tree-dwelling primates to beings who gaze at the stars and wonder. This is the intricate, detailed, and often brutal path of human evolution. For millennia, our ancestors, like the forest-dwelling proconsul, lived in a world of abundance, a stable, predictable life among the branches. But the world beneath them was tearing apart. The East African Rift Valley, born from the immense pressure of tectonic plates, became the defining geological feature of our species. As the land lifted, it created a massive natural barrier that blocked the moisture-laden winds from the Atlantic. The consequence was catastrophic. The vast, unbroken forests on the eastern side began to fragment and recede. Our ancestors, suddenly finding themselves on the margins of shrinking woodlands, were forced into the exposed, unforgiving savanna. This was a brutal new landscape, where every step was a risk. How do you survive when you are small, relatively slow, and surrounded by immense predators like the giant bear dog Agriatherium or the massive saber-toothed cat Dinophelus? The answer was bipedalism, walking exclusively on 2 feet. It didn't happen overnight. Creatures like Ardipithecus ramidus, around 4.4 million years ago, demonstrate a transitional stage. They could walk upright when needed, but they were still clumsy, retaining a grasping foot for the safety of the trees. It was a compromise, but it was a commitment to the ground. The real shift is seen in the Australopithecines. Visual, the iconic Laetoli footprints, perfectly preserved in volcanic ash from 3.6 million years ago. These footprints are not just marks in the mud, they are a manifesto. They show a modern, human-like arch and a heel-to-toe stride. The energy savings from bipedalism were critical. It meant that a hominin could spend less energy on movement, allowing them to forage over greater distances during the dry season and return with crucial calories. This ability to conserve energy while gathering scattered resources was the first great competitive advantage we gained over other apes. Walking wasn't enough. The environment demanded a change in diet. The rich, soft fruits of the forest were replaced by tougher, more fibrous foods like tubers, roots, and scavenged carcasses. This stress on the body led to the emergence of the genus Homo. Around 2.8 million years ago, we see the appearance of the first toolmaker, Homo habilis, handyman. The Oldowan tool industry is deceptively simple. It wasn't just using a rock, it was shaping a rock to make a consistently razor-sharp edge. This tool gave H. habilis the power to process meat, not by killing, but by quickly butchering a lion's leftovers before the primary predator returned. Using heavy stones to crack open the long bones of large animals, releasing the calorie and nutrient-dense marrow. This sustained intake of animal protein and fat was the fuel the brain had been waiting for. The brain, consuming up to 20% of the body's energy, could finally afford to grow larger and more complex. The selective pressure was now shifting from physical strength to intellectual resourcefulness. Homo erectus, emerging around 2 million years ago, perfected this ingenuity. Homo erectus developed the Acheulean Hand-Axe, a teardrop-shaped marvel that required both complex motor skills and abstract mental templates to create. They weren't just reacting to a need, they were planning ahead. Then came the second superpower, controlled fire. The mastery of fire changed everything. It meant safety. A ring of light and heat kept the darkness and its dangers at bay. Nutrition. Cooking meat and vegetables pre-digests them, killing parasites and increasing the nutritional yield by up to 25%. This allowed for a smaller gut, further freeing up energy for the brain. Socialization. The campfire became the first universal gathering point, a place where the day's events were communicated, skills were taught, and social bonds were forged. Armed with fire and a superior toolkit, Homo erectus was the first great exodus, the first human species to break the bounds of Africa and spread across Asia and into Europe, surviving in climates far colder than their ancestors had ever known. For hundreds of thousands of years, the world was shared by different kinds of humans. In Eurasia, Neanderthals were the undisputed masters of the Ice Age. They were incredibly strong, intelligent, and lived complex lives. They wore layered clothing, used fire, buried their dead with ritual significance, and cared for long-term invalids, a profound demonstration of empathy and social structure. But back in Africa, a new species was evolving, one with a subtle, yet ultimately decisive difference. Homo sapiens. The advantage of Homo sapiens wasn't in sheer brain size, but in the wiring and structure. Our vertical forehead allowed for the expansion of the prefrontal cortex, the area associated with abstract thought, long-term planning, and, most importantly, complex syntactic language. This was the true great leap forward, the ability to communicate not just "watch out for the lion," but "if we cooperate now, build a better trap, and hunt tomorrow, we can secure food for the entire winter." This capacity for symbolic thought expressed itself in an explosion of culture. Innovation. The sudden, rapid creation of specialized tools, needles for sewing fitted clothes, harpoons for fishing, and the atlatl that dramatically increased hunting range and safety. This cognitive fluidity meant Homo sapiens could rapidly adapt to any environment, a trait that allowed us to finally dominate the planet. Our final migration out of Africa, beginning around 70,000 years ago, was swift and relentless. We were the ultimate survivors, capable of creating complex social structures and technologies that insulated us from environmental pressures. We absorbed the remaining human populations, carrying tiny fragments of Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA within us to this very day. The journey is complete. We stand here today, possessing the arched feet of Lucy, the fire-making knowledge of Homo erectus, the compassion of the Neanderthals, and the symbolic mind of Homo sapiens. This is the story written in our bones, the unwritten scroll that binds us all. It is a testament not just to survival, but to the unstoppable power of adaptation, curiosity, and the singular, enduring wonder of being human.